How's it going, folks? CR here, and I'm going to be doing a follow-on to my previous video. There are some things that I did not include, obviously, and there's some more information to discuss, so let's get right on into it. I'm going to start off with the Amazing Atheist. He just recently put out a video I just watched, Idiots React to Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm going to leave the link in the description. He makes a good point throughout the entire video, especially about the point when he gets to the guy who tweeted about the shoe bomber. He's spot on about that. About 11:45, when he's responding to the tweet he just showed, he kind of shows, though, that there's some irony that's lost on him on this one. You see, when we come out and defend the Second Amendment, every time there's a mass shooting and then some group of people want to exploit this tragedy to push their agenda, he seems to miss that, we're in essence doing the same thing as, preventing these stupid measures that you have at the airport. The only difference is that, taking your shoes off every time you go to an airport is an inconvenience. Some of the things they're proposing with these gun laws, they're a bit more than an inconvenience. This has been a cycle. There's some sort of mass killing, and then you'll have the gun controllers who will sit there and exploit this to push their political agenda, to push their next gun law. A lot of the times they don't win, thanks to guys like me, as well as all the other gun rights advocates, the Second Amendment defenders that stand up against this. But even when they do get that next gun law, it doesn't prevent the next mass shooting, and therefore they're at it on the same old path. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So, yes, we are standing up against this insanity. So, in short, a reason why nothing effective gets done to try to mitigate these incidences is precisely because you have people who will exploit this to push their political agenda. And while I know you seem to be against it in some areas, there is one area you seem to be okay with that. Then you'll have people like me who will have to put all of our efforts into stopping the people who are exploiting this to go after what we have, what the freedoms that we enjoy. And I would figure when it comes to gun laws, you would have figured this out just as much as anybody else. You were talking in the video about going to Dayton, Ohio to get drugs. Well, if there's a prohibition on drugs in this country and you're still managing to get them, how effective do you think gun laws are going to be in stopping mass murderers from getting the tools that they need to carry out a mass murder? You found a way around a prohibition. There's a prohibition on drugs in place, and you're still getting the drugs because you're willing to break the law. What do you think somebody who's willing to commit a mass murder is going to do to get the tools that they need? All you're doing with these gun laws is just preventing other people from having the chance to stop this. I also want to give a shout out to Jinks. Jinks did a video on this. Excellent video. I'm also going to link this video in the description as well. He brought up points that I did not bring up, and I do want to discuss the points, at least some of the points that he had brought up in this. So let's start with the alt-right. Jinks did a good job in addressing this issue here in regards to this mass killing, this asshole in the alt-right. Well, he hurt you guys. It's just plain and simple. He hurt your little cause there more so than you realize. I know Jinks brought up the fact that many alt-right members also value their gun rights. Yeah, well, we are going to be in an uphill fight on this one. I don't know if you've realized this, but they're calling for gun control, and you have even Republicans that are flaking out, like right now. You have guys like me who are in favor of gun rights. I'm not alt-right, and most of us gun rights advocates are not alt-right. We do not share your particular worldview on everything, especially not the ethno-state, and I think that was the big defining factor with the alt-right. You have, now we're going to be fighting for this because I've been trying to encourage people who are not exactly white, who are Americans, to stand up for the Second Amendment because it is their right too. You're going to have more people who are not white now who are going to jump on to the leftist, the feral leftist bandwagon because you have given them a reason to fear for their life. Well, not you in particular, but the person in El Paso did. There's no question of that, especially the Hispanic community. You're going to have people who use this to go after both our gun rights and even some of the points that people like you and the rest of Americans agree on. Well, not exactly the rest of Americans, but a good chunk of Americans agree on. Things like enforcing our border. Every time there's a discussion when it comes out to enforcing our border or making sure we have immigration laws that vet people and don't let everybody in, this asshole is now going to be used to deride that. This person is going to be used as the left's Emmanuel Goldstein, so to speak. So whenever somebody like me is saying, no, we do need to enforce our border laws, no, we should not let everybody who wants to come into this country just willy-nilly come in. We should vet them to make sure that they're, one, going to be capable of living in this country, that they are culturally compatible. Two, we do need to limit the numbers that come in because we can't take everybody that come in. We're at the highest population we've ever been at in history, and quite frankly, I don't think we should be trying to increase that population. I think declining birth rates are an indication that we are, in fact, as a culture, understanding our limits, and the declining birth rates is just our natural way of adjusting to this so we don't overpopulate and burn our resources out. And quite frankly, the third thing is I wish there were certain people that would just move out of this country. Now, I know I'm getting a little off topic here with this. However, to get back on topic, yes, this person hurts you bad on the Second Amendment. The popular proposal right now is red flag laws. And guys like me are going to be fighting this red flag laws as hard as they can. But I don't know how successful we're going to be in stopping them. I really don't. I really doubt it right now because we even have a deal of Republicans jumping on this. Trump supporters who are like, it's not a big deal. They're playing 4D chess. Well, I want to be talking about them a little later on in the video, but these red flag laws, I mean, you guys are going to be probably the first ones to get hit with them. You guys weren't too popular prior to that mass killing, and you're definitely not any more popular now. You guys will probably be among the first targets in these red flag laws. Ain't nobody's going to give a damn that your rights are being violated, save a handful of people who in this country still do have some principle. Yeah, this guy fucked your cause over really bad. I mean, and I'm aware of the other factors in his life. However, that's not what's being focused on. What's being focused on is that mass shooting he did and the claim he made that he was doing it to stop a Mexican invasion, as he put it. The next portion that Jinks covered I want to discuss is video game scapegoating. Now, I know the image in the background is one of Wayne LaPierre. For those of you who aren't aware, most of us gun rights advocates or Second Amendment advocates are not a big fan of his, believe it or not. It's a bit of misinformation there. We understand he's more into making money than he is actually standing up for our Second Amendment rights. I mean, that should be a dead giveaway when his wardrobe budget is probably bigger than the ILA's budget. Just saying. I mean, if the NRA was really concerned with standing up for our gun rights, well, we'd have machine guns by now. They wouldn't be on the NFA list, and we'd have concealed carry, open carry, and all that in all 50 states by now if Wayne and his bunch were genuinely concerned about protecting the Second Amendment. My apologies for getting off topic. I just had to throw that bit of monologue in there, but back on topic. Since I uploaded that last video, I did find one gun rights advocate who was scapegoating video games in this, and I know most gun rights advocates are not doing this and are against this as well. Really, folks, for those of you who are doing it, knock it off. It's not the video games. I had a commander years ago. Well, he was not a fan of video games. He viewed them as something that makes soldiers soft. His philosophy was behind this: in our free time we needed to be focusing on ways to have fun, but still would help us out in the upcoming deployment. He viewed video games as being completely counterproductive to this. His view was that he'd rather see us getting into bar fights than sitting around playing video games in our free time. And by the way, this commander, if you knew him, was by no means a very passive person. He was one of the more aggressive commanders you could find in the Army. He found his self sitting in front of the CG quite a few times over orders and perceived orders that were given by him and his command philosophy, to put it lightly. Even if you were to get violent video games banned, well, it's not going to help out solve or stop, mitigate the problem. And then when the next mass shooting comes around, the next mass murder comes around, you're going to have to find another scapegoat. Moreover, there are a lot of gamers that aren't gun guys. They're going to see that, at bare minimum, they're not going to come to your defense. I mean, they're going to be apathetic on this. They're going to be like, well, nobody came to our defense. Why should we come to your defense? And some of them, if they see gun rights advocates claiming violent video games, they're going to look at that and say, ooh, payback time. And do you really want to deal with that? Do you really want to add more people to the gun controllers' ranks? I mean, the gun controllers, they already dominate mainstream media. Now, we've got kind of a foothold in the alternative media. Do you really want to change that? Are you insane? What we should be doing is coalescing with the gamers, the paintballers, the airsofters, the Marilyn Manson fans, the goths, everyone who's getting scapegoated in this, come together to try to put a stop to this. Because if not, they're going to take each and every freedom we have one by one by one by one, as long as it's politically expedient for them to do so. And no, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is just how things work. Another point Jinks brought up was the topic of censorship. And this, guys, is very important. And I haven't spoken about this issue enough. One of the points that Jinks brings up with censorship, and it's an awesome point, is the fact when you do this, you drive some of these people into echo chambers. You push them into places to where the only people they're communicating with are the very people who share their worldview. Their worldview gets reinforced and generally tends to become more extreme. Couple that with the fact that, well, you've censored them, you've reinforced their view even more. You have pretty much given them a reason to say, hey, the establishment's scared of us for some reason. It must be the truth. Furthermore, you insulate the general population from hearing their views when you start censoring them. The general population cannot hear their views, don't know what their actual arguments are, and thus eventually when one of them actually does come along, the general population, who've never actually heard their arguments, haven't formulated any sort of counter arguments, are kind of stuck. They don't know what to say. Furthermore, those people that you did censor might actually have one or two good points that need to be addressed. But when you censor them, and those good points aren't in the public eye, they don't get addressed, well, that's going to make the situation a lot worse. Furthermore, I want to address the very people who call for things like banning hate speech, deplatforming, and so on, creating a, quote, safe environment, and words are violence. Well, these people are usually the ones that want to have this discussion about their pressing issues, which they're not really sincere about, because they're usually the first people to block you on social media. They're the first people to call for your deplatforming. They're the first people to call for you to be put in jail for hate speech. The second you either disagree with them or say something outside their Overton window. Now, I realize that this is my personal experience, and I've spent a lot of time in the gun control debate. However, from what I've seen, gun controllers have been the absolute worst offenders in this, and obviously experiences may vary. They're the ones that keep on saying, we need to have an open discussion about guns and gun violence in this country. And the second you say something diametrically opposed to them, the second you step out of their Overton window of what's acceptable for them, they're the first people to block you on social media. They are the first people to report your account. They are the people that call for groups like the NRA to be either treated as a terrorist organization, to be deplatformed, to be destroyed, to be disbanded. So much for their desire to have an honest discussion on the issue. And don't get me wrong, there are other people that do this too, and maybe worse than the gun controllers. Another example, you see mainstream journalists targeting the alternate media. They will sit there and say, well, we need to deplatform Alex Jones, or so-and-so is engaging in hate speech, so-and-so is radicalizing people, Sargon Akkad is, obviously an alt-right extremist, even though he's not, Tim Pool, he's a gateway to the alt-right, or some other nonsense like that, therefore needs to be deplatformed. He's not creating a safe environment. These are the same people who will squeal the First Amendment's under attack by the president when he calls CNN fake news. These are the same people who will claim that Jim Acosta's First Amendment rights got violated because, the president told him enough questions after he asked more questions than most journalists get to ask, but because he couldn't ask any more and was escorted off after he refused to hand the microphone over, well, that's just a violation of Jim Acosta's rights. Give me a break. These are the same people who will sit there and say, oh, well, you committed violence against a trans person because you misgendered them, but yet see no problem with smacking somebody on the head with a crowbar they disagree with, or beating the shit out of a homosexual Asian journalist simply because he was videotaping them doing bad things. These are the same people that will go out and write, say, or film something slanderous about another person or another group of people, and then cry that somebody responds to them. They will call that harassment when somebody responds to them. These people don't believe in free speech. Furthermore, some of these people claim they got death threats. I don't know if it's true or not. But, hey, death threats are a reality. I just got one today. And there you have it. Oh, no, dude, I'm on your list. Whatever shall I do? I've already done a video where I do mention death threats. I guess I'm going to have to end up editing that, taking the death threat portion out and putting it as a standalone video. There is another topic that needs to be addressed in this, and I have not heard anybody address this yet, so I'm going to do this in this video. It is the behavior of the unhinged feral left, not to be confused with the liberals who actually are rational. I'm talking about these authoritarian feral leftists. You act like the woman in this paper, Miss Escobar, and you wonder why there might be some sort of resentment towards you. I mean, and it's not just her, and let's face facts here. You're not just talking about Nazis. You're talking about people who you just don't like politically, and you're calling them Nazis in order to justify your shitty behavior towards them. I mean, you guys want to sit there and let anybody come into this country willy-nilly, whether these guys actually are coming here for a good reason or a bad reason or somewhere in between, and yet you're going to tell other people they're not welcome in this country, they're not welcome in your city. I mean, how throwed off do you have to be? Now, I've said a few times, those from California and New York coming here to Texas, if you don't like the way things are done here in Texas and you prefer your home state better, feel free to go back to your home state. In this circumstance, Trump is not coming here to change Texas state laws. He's just addressing the victims of the mass shooting that happened earlier this week. Well, actually, I think it happened Saturday, so technically last week. But he's addressing the people of El Paso about that shooting that happened less than a week ago. He is not coming here for malicious purposes. And no, this is not an isolated incident either. This is an ongoing pattern of the identitarian SJW left doing everything they can to alienate citizens of this country in their own country. It's been sick and disturbing, and if you want to know what really fueled the alt-right, it is this fucking mentality here. Now, I do not think that these people should be censored from saying this. In fact, I want them to say this. I want them to keep talking. It shows you what type of people they really are. Get to see who they really are. So no, the alt-right does not bear full responsibility for the divisions going on in this country. The SJW left, the identitarian left, has a hand in this too. And it is very dishonest to sit there and solely mention the alt-right in this without mentioning the SJW left. And by the way, the Dayton shooter was a leftist. Just so you know, he was an Antifa member by their own definition. Furthermore, this goes beyond just the alt-right and the alt-left. There are several planes of division in this country. If you can look at the image on the screen currently, you will see a screen cap of some tweets. Now, I think I've said in this video earlier that I've been in the gun control debate for quite some time, so saying stuff like this is really not a shock to me, and I'm willing to bet that gun rights advocates themselves, aside from me, are pretty used to saying this stuff right now. I mean, though, if I have a gun rights advocate watching this video and this is something that shocks you, I mean, please let me know in the comments. And I gotta say, I mean, you guys are talking like this, you know, at least a significant portion of you guys, and yet we're the fucking terrorist. Us gun rights advocates are the terrorist. You are sitting there making these types of posts, and we're supposed to just accept your red flag laws like you aren't going to abuse those. We're supposed to give up our AR-15s. We're supposed to agree to your universal background checks, as you call them. You know, yeah, despite us knowing all these laws aren't going to work, well, at least not to stop all the crimes you promise they're going to stop, they will put the law-abiding gun owners in a worse position. But we're supposed to agree to all this when you guys are acting like this. Yeah. Give me a break, dude. Now, time to address the big orange elephant in the room. I understand it's been a while since bump stocks were banned. However, this has been a continued pattern with the man. The man ran on a platform that he was going to respect the Second Amendment. Clearly he hasn't. And I get that, you know, bump stocks are more of a novelty than anything else. That still doesn't make it right for him to do it via executive order. And he hasn't stopped, because you have people who will sit there and stick up for him, even though you know damn well if Obama had done it, they'd be screaming and they'd be up in arms about Obama is violating our Second Amendment. Well, I agree that Obama is violating the Second Amendment had he done something like that. The problem is that you guys seem to think it's okay when Trump does this sort of thing. The new talk is now red flag laws. And you have some of Trump's idiotic supporters coming out to defend this. Oh, well, what are you going to do next election? Vote Democrat? Trump's playing 4D chess. You mean like he was with the bump stocks. So, how's that turned out for you so far? Now he's saying he's okay with banning suppressors, and he's okay with red flag laws, which he said that a while ago too. Take the guns first, worry about due process later. So it's clear that not only does this guy not respect the Second Amendment, he seems to not respect the Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment either. But you know what? I'm going to take some time to pretend along with you on this 4D chess narrative. Okay, so how's that bump stock ban played out for us so far? Where's the payoff? Let's think about red flag laws. Let's say, he's playing 4D chess and gets them passed. As well as that suppressor ban. What good's going to come out of it? I mean, he's a businessman, but I've never heard of a good businessman making the concessions first and then begging for some concessions in return after the concessions have already been made. I'm not saying I'm a businessman or anything like that, but I've never heard of that being done before. So please help me out. And for those of you guys who think, oh, what's the worst thing that can happen with red flag laws? I mean, have you thought this through yet? Seriously, honest question here. Trump supporters who think that these red flag laws are all a part of his 4D chess. What do you think is going to happen going forward with these red flag laws? Well, let me give you a hint. So, you guys are probably asking, what does this have to do with anything? Well, for all you Trump supporters who think he's playing 4D chess, I want you to look hard and long at that image and the caption, and pause the video, please. Pause the video and take as much time as you need to look at it and think about it, and then hit play once you figure it out, or go ahead and type up in the comment section what you think once you figure it out. You guys figure this out yet? I mean, you guys are experts at 4D chess. I mean, and obviously there's nothing I can tell you, but I'm going to go ahead and lay it out right here. Yeah, the guy's open carrying an AR-15 that's slung across his back. He's obviously not there to shoot the place up, saying the fact it's slung across his back. He's just standing there placing an order. Yet the person who made this post, you look at the text, they're saying every time you see something like this, go ahead and SWAT these people. Go ahead and call the police, even though it's obvious to anybody who understands the situation knows the guy's probably just making a political statement. Now you're probably asking me, what does this have to do with red flag laws? And we're going to get there. I mean, I would have figured, you Trump supporters, who know for a fact that the guy's playing 4D chess would have already figured this out. I mean, just saying. But let me ask you this. How many people are there with what you would call TDS, Trump derangement syndrome? People who hate Trump supporters. Hate them with a passion because they know in their heart and bones that they're just racist, bigoted Nazis. I mean, you know quite a few of them. I mean, if you're that diehard of a Trump supporter, yeah. What do these people love to do? They love to dox. find your name, your home address, find out all the personal information that they can about you. And they got that. What is to stop them from calling up the police and filing one of these red flag reports? And of course you're saying, well, there are going to be checks and balances in the law, obviously. Okay, well, refer back to my video here, the one you're currently watching, about that city official in El Paso. Oh, and by the way, the chief of police of El Paso holds the same sentiment. Yeah. You guys figured this out yet? Have you not figured out that this law is going to be abused against you and anybody else who goes against their fucking narrative? I mean, have you not figured out that you are going to be right up there with the alt-right when it comes to those red flag law abuses? Have you not figured it out that they see you as the same thing as the alt-right, by the way? You're going to be right up there with them in those abuses of that law. You dumb motherfuckers. You know, and if it was just going to be you dumb tread on me, daddy, motherfuckers, I wouldn't really care. The problem is it's not going to be just you. It will include anybody who pisses one of these fucking bedwetters off. But the fact of the matter is that you diehard Trump supporters who are saying he's playing 4D chess with this, and, oh, you're going to vote a Democrat next year on this one. You know, things like that. Well, you're really no different than the Obama supporters after Obama got elected and was in office, who said, well, you can't say anything about Obama. He's your president. You are exactly like that. You are the Republican version of those diehard Obama supporters. So instead of proverbially shooting the messenger in this circumstance, you guys may want to get on the line with the reps and the senators that are Republican and let them know that these red flag laws are not gaining them any support. They're just losing support. The very same people that want these red flag laws in place are not going to be the ones that are going to be swayed to vote Republican next election. As for your Oompa Loompa daddy, you might want to let him know that too. You know, he's not going to gain these supporters from the gun controllers. The gun controllers were never going to vote for him in the first place and aren't going to vote for him now, especially considering the fact that he's running against people who are going to give them a lot more. Just food for thought there. So with this, I'm going to wrap this up. For those who have been following along this far, and you have your comments, please at the end of the comment type keychain. I want to see how many people have followed along this far. Thank you all for watching. Y'all have a great day. And again, let me know what you think. What are your thoughts on this issue?